Buonasera, welcome back to our Italian sessions. Today we are going straight into our topic, which is the second part of congiuntivo subjunctive. So if you have missed my previous video, I would advise you to have a look at it so you can see the congiuntivo, the conjugations, and when to use it, and more or less how to use it. Well, hopefully more than less. As there is so much to say about this mode of verbs, I've divided the videos. Instead of doing a long video, I've done one part previously. This is the second part, and there will be a third part as well. So as I said last time in the previous video, we saw the how to conjugate, so the endings of the congiuntivo for the verbs, for the regular verbs. We only had a look at essere and avere for irregular verbs. However, I did mention that there are quite a few. And then we saw quite a few lists of verbs, expressions, and conjunctions that are followed by congiuntivo, subjunctive. And we only saw congiuntivo presente. What I wanted to say, first of all, is that in my previous video, I was trying to avoid calling the congiuntivo what it is, which is the mode of a verb. Super quickly, we have indicativo, so modo indicativo, which includes presente, passato prossimo, imperfetto, and then we have modo congiuntivo, which also has presente, passato, and imperfetto. And then there are other modo, or I don't know if they're mode or modality. To be honest, I am not sure in English. I should have found out before starting, but I haven't. So in Italian, they are called modo. So there is the conditional, gerundio, etc., which I believe you already know, or at least you have mentioned. I think at this point, when you reach this level and you start, if that's what you're doing, you're just starting studying congiuntivo, or you are coming back for a little refresher, you are probably familiar with all the other modes and different tenses as well. So as I said in the previous videos, I was kind of trying to describe it as conjugation, not tenses, in fact. So it's a mode of verbs which has tenses, presente, passato, imperfetto, and obviously conjugations, which are the endings that we attach to each tense or for each tense. Anyway, so let's get immediately to if I get back to our congiuntivo, and hopefully, and today, as I said in our previous session, we saw presente, the present tense, and today we are going to see congiuntivo passato. So you can see them a little bit with the same principle as present and of the indicativo, presente, passato prossimo, and imperfetto. Same principle, let's say. So this one, this congiuntivo passato, is like or similar, the way it works and the rules to passato prossimo. Let's see how they are similar. As you must know already, with passato prossimo, we need either essere or avere as auxiliary verbs in order to make up the tense. So we need exactly the same for congiuntivo passato, and we're going to follow exactly the same rules. So with some verbs, we need the auxiliary avere. With other verbs, we need essere. If you're not sure, and I'm sure you are now, or at least you have a very, very good idea, and I'm sure you do know what I'm talking about because you have got to this level. But if you are not sure or you want a refresher, you can go and find a video of mine about passato prossimo with its rules. And there I do talk about avere and essere as auxiliary verbs. So, and let me add something. I think, as I said, once you have got to this level, you should have, in fact, I do assume that you do have quite a wide vocabulary, and you have done quite a few tenses before. I just wanted to say in particular that in my previous video, we went through the list or lists, in fact, plural of words and expressions that are followed by congiuntivo. I said you may probably many will not know all these words and expressions. However, I certainly don't want to underestimate you at all. And then, in fact, looking back and all those words and expressions, I think at least half of them are probably familiar already. Right. So, as we said yesterday, or the previous video, we saw congiuntivo presente, and which comes after, as we said, certain verbs and expressions and conjunctions. Today we are going to see congiuntivo passato. So when we are talking about an action that happened in the past, obviously. As I said in the previous video, the congiuntivo, we have congiuntivo with two different sentences together. So there is the very first sentence in general, because sometimes it's just well, yes, it is. Let's go with that for now. The very first sentence, we have those verbs and expressions and conjunctions that, let's say, trigger the congiuntivo, which comes instead in the second part of the sentence. So it's like having, so we have normally a couple of verbs. The second one will be congiuntivo. So let's see, we have three examples for each auxiliary. So as you can see here, we have avere for the first three examples. And in the last three examples, we have essere. I have mentioned also that these tables are not created by me, obviously, but they are taken from a very good book that I've had for more than 20 years. Very useful. Right. So let's start reading. So it will, it's always easy really or easier to to read a sentence, an example, instead of talking about rules, which sometimes can sound a little bit abstract until you put them into practice and say, okay, I can see how this works. Right. First sentence. Diana crede che io abbia parlato male di lei, il che non è vero. So Diana believes that I have spoken ill about her, which is not true. So as I said, we have the very first, technically a sentence, we have the first verb here. Diana believes which is in the present tense. The first part will all be in the present tense, the first verb. So she believes now, she believes today that something that happened in the past is whatever it is in the sentence. So Diana believes that I have spoken ill about her. So as we said, we have the auxiliary avere. When we have congiuntivo passato, exactly like passato prossimo, we have the auxiliary, which is avere o essere, and then we have the participle of the main verb we are going to use. And that's exactly what we have here. We have the auxiliary in the first three sentences, avere, and it is the auxiliary which takes the congiuntivo, the subjunctive tense or conjugation tense, and then it is followed by the what did I call this now? The participle of the main verb we need, which is parlato in this case. Think about passato prossimo, we would have io ho parlato. So as I said, it is exactly the same principle, the same construction. However, after certain verbs, in this case is credere, we need subjunctive. When we are talking about the past, so we have congiuntivo passato, we have the auxiliary in the congiuntivo, the tense congiuntivo, or mode congiuntivo, followed by the main verb that we need for this, for the past in the participle. Let's see the second one. Ma non è possibile che tu abbia cambiato di nuovo macchina. It's not possible you have changed a car again. You have bought a new car, basically. First of all, it is very normal in Italian to start sentences with ma, especially when it's like a surprise, or like here there's an exclamation. So it doesn't make it doesn't make sense in English. It's not possible that you have bought a car again. That's how we can translate it. So here we have congiuntivo because we have an impersonal expression, which is è possibile, more specifically non è possibile. And it is followed by congiuntivo passato because it is not possible that you have done something in the past. In particular, you have changed car again. So we have abbia again. Remember the first three persons, io, tu, lui, lei, have exactly the same conjugation. And as I said before, because they are exactly the same, unlike other tenses where we tend to drop the subject pronoun, instead here we are putting it in the sentence. We have io here, we have tu here. And then cambiato, changed, the participle of cambiare. Here we have può darsi che abbiano perso la strada, per cui sono in ritardo. Può darsi means it could be, so it is an expression that requires subjunctive. It could be that they have perso la strada, so they got lost, basically. They have missed a road. They got lost. Therefore, they are late. Here we're not putting, we can see abbiano, which is loro. And that's why we're not putting loro, because there is no confusion in this case. There is only one. As I said, only the first three singular have exactly the same conjugation. And perso is the participle of perdere, to lose or to miss. In this case, they got lost. You can translate it with they got lost. So remember here, you need to know the rules that you learned for passato prossimo when to use avere or essere as auxiliary. So I'm assuming you do know those rules. The other three examples. Non credo che tu sia venuta solo per chiedermi scusa. I don't believe you have come only to apologize. So again, the first part in the present tense, I do not believe. And the second part in the past, that you have come. Remember that in English you use always to have as auxiliary. In Italian we use essere. You have come only to apologize. So we have two, because for the same reason, like for every verb, the first three persons, singular, io, tu, lui, lei, have exactly the same conjugation. So we put two to make clear, to make it clear, and we know who we are talking about or who we are talking to. And then we have venuta, which is the participle of venire. Second example, sono contento che voi siate riusciti a superare il test finale. I am happy, I'm glad that you have managed to pass the final test. Test example. Same thing, I am happy, it's a feeling, that's why we're using, we have subjunctive afterwards. I'm happy that you have managed to. So siate is voi. Said it's not that you cannot. In fact, it's not that you only have to add the person for the first three. You can do it if you need for the other persons. So you have managed. I said siate, congiuntivo of verbo essere in the present, and then we have the main verb in the participle. Riuscire is to manage to do something. Superare is to pass, in this case, an exam. And finally we have è possibile che le ragazze siano già partite senza dire niente? Is it possible that the girls have already left without saying anything? So è possibile it's an impersonal expression, and so it is followed by subjunctive in the past. So the first part again is present. The second is passato, past. So is it possible that the girls have already left without saying anything? So this is congiuntivo passato. As I said, exactly the same rules and construction as passato prossimo. So if you don't remember, I'm sure you do, but just in case, if you do need to refresh your rules for passato prossimo and when to use essere, when to use avere, go to one of my videos which talks and explains the passato prossimo. This is congiuntivo. Passato, meaning, remember, the first part of the sentence is still in the present. Diana believes now. It is not possible now. It could be now. I do not believe. I am glad. It is possible. So the first part, all in the present. The second part, in the past. So Diana does not believe there's something happening in the past. It's not possible that whatever happened in the past, etc., etc. So the passato is obviously in the second part, where we have those verbs which need to be in the congiuntivo mode because of what comes before. Right, so that is congiuntivo passato. I have translated all these sentences, unlike yesterday, because yesterday there were too many. I said and I repeated, I'm very happy to actually go through them if someone needs them, and if you have questions, please do put it in the comments, and we can go through them, and it could help to understand a little bit better this congiuntivo mystery. Now, there is a very, where is it going? It's not this one. Let me just, there it is. Here, we are going to look at, if I manage, there, we're going to look at this. This is another very good mini table. On how to construct really the sentence when we have congiuntivo, and we can choose if we are going to use congiuntivo and which tense of congiuntivo. So the title of this table is La concordanza dei tempi del congiuntivo. So the agreement of the tenses of congiuntivo. So remember the tenses are presente o passato, which is what we have here. So quando il verbo della frase principale, so the very first beginning, when the verb of the main sentence, so the beginning, the first part with the first verb, è al presente, abbiamo queste alternative. So when it is in the present tense, we have these options. So let me read each of them, and we'll see each of them separately. So the beginning of the sentence, credo che Laura. I believe that Laura, so we need after credo, we would need congiuntivo, because credere is one of those verbs that requires congiuntivo. However, let's see exactly what we are going to say after this. So I believe that Laura what, and especially when are we talking about? Are we talking about something about Laura, about Laura, that is going to happen in the future? Okay, in that case, and in fact, I'm sure it's something you have used already, probably with the future. So we could say, credo che Laura farà un buon lavoro. Farà is the future tense. I believe that Laura will do a good job. This is if we are talking about domani, al futuro, tomorrow, or any time in the future. We would use the future tense. However, remember that in Italian, when we talk about the future, very often we use the present. So we can say, tomorrow I go somewhere, tomorrow I do somewhere. So you have a choice. You can choose to use the future tense, which is what we have here, or we can choose to use the present. If you choose the present, it needs to be in the congiuntivo mode. And in this case will be faccia, which is fare, and it is irregular. So you can say either credo che Laura faccia un buon lavoro domani, o credo che Laura farà un buon lavoro domani. Either. As I said, it is really a choice if you want to stick with the actual future tense or with the present. However, it needs to be congiuntivo. This is if we're talking about something that will happen in the future. If we're talking about the present, credo che Laura faccia un buon lavoro oggi o contemporaneamente. So I believe that Laura does a good job today, or is going to do, you can say. No, we have to be really strict. Does a good job today, at the moment, at this time. Yes, because even English sometimes I think it's becoming a little bit kind of fluid with, especially when there is the ing. So let's be super strict. Otherwise, what's the point, really? So if you're talking about something that happens even on a regular basis, like normally, I believe that Laura normally does a good job. So it could be, as I said, on a regular basis, or just today. I think she does, in general, a good job. Instead, we also have another option if something happened in the past. Credo che Laura abbia fatto un buon lavoro ieri o nel passato. I believe that Laura did a good job yesterday or anywhere in the anytime in the past. So in this case, we're going to use exactly what we have just seen, congiuntivo passato. In this case, we have avere, so auxiliary. Oh, we've got a visitor in the shape of a zanzara, which is a mosquito, which is normal. So, abbia fatto congiuntivo passato because we're talking about the job that Laura did yesterday. So these are the three options that we have. Remember, we are talking about the present tense in the main sentence. We have the present tense in the second part of the sentence, which depends on the first part. We have the three options. Are we talking about the future? We can either go with a future tense or the present. However, in this case, it needs to be the mode for the congiuntivo. Are we talking about the present or normally? We're going to use the present. Or otherwise, are we talking about the past? We're going to use congiuntivo passato. These are your three options. I hope is well I think after going through the very first the rules and what we saw in the previous video, and this is just an addition, really. We're just looking at different tenses, but the principle, the actual the concept of congiuntivo is covered mainly in my previous video. And then we are going to look at something else, which is, I believe, this one. Yes. So we have learned when to use congiuntivo. Now let's see when not to use the congiuntivo. So when you should not get carried away. In fact, before going through this, sometimes, yes, people do get carried away. Also because very often, because we're talking about mood and opinion and yeah, feelings and hope and things. So not necessarily something very subjective, not necessarily facts or evidence, for example. But don't think that if we are expressing an opinion on something that we don't know if it happened or not, or we don't have evidence, that is not the point. If it is true, if it is real, if we have the evidence, that is not the point. That is not how we decide to use the subjunctive or not. The subjunctive is used when we have those specific verbs, those specific expressions, those specific conjunctions. It's not that, oh, but we don't really know if it happens. I'm not sure I can use the subjunctive. Yes, you can. In fact, you must if you have just used any of those words that we have in those long lists that we saw in the previous video. So that is number one. Now let's see what the book says instead. So, quando non usare il congiuntivo. Let me move this. Uno degli errori che fa spesso chi impara l'italiano è usare il congiuntivo anche quando non ce n'è bisogno. So one of the mistakes that those who learn Italian often make is to use subjunctive even when there is no need to. Non abbiate fretta. Do not hurry, do not rush. Piano piano chiarirete tutti i vostri dubbi. Slowly or slowly, you will clear all your doubts. So yes, do not get carried away and don't overthink it, as you know, like in the example I've just given. For example, I believe Laura has left the house. Oh, but can I use subjunctive because I'm not sure if she actually has left the house. That is not the point. Do you believe she has? That is the point. So let's see. Usiamo l'infinito o indicativo. Remember, infinito is the infinitive, so the verb in the original form, as I said, is not necessarily grammar terminology. Indicativo instead is the normal, the ordinary present passato prossimo imperfetto. E non il congiuntivo nei seguenti casi. Not subjunctive in the following cases. Let's see these cases. Soggetto uguale when the subject is the same. So we've said so far that we have two sentences basically, or two phrases. The second one with the subjunctive, which depends on the first one. So the subject of both needs to be different. It's something that I've mentioned in the previous video. The subject of the two sentences needs to be different. Only then you can have congiuntivo. In fact, if you think about those sentences about Laura, we have I believe that Laura, etc. So if they are different, the subjects are different, then we use congiuntivo. Otherwise, we don't. And let's see what we do instead. So, soggetto uguale. Penso che tu sia bravo. I think that you are good at something, or doesn't matter. However, penso di essere bravo. If I think that I am good, I'm not going to use subjunctive instead. And look at this construction. Penso di essere bravo. So you need di and infinitive. Because we have io here, and then, so io penso, and then io, I am still good. Second example, Ilaria vuole che io vada via. Ilaria, she, wants me to go away, to leave. So two different subjects. Ilaria is one, and I, another person. So a different subject, we are going to use subjunctive. However, Ilaria vuole andare via. If she wants to go away, then we are not going to use subjunctive. She can just go without subjunctive. And here we have Ilaria, just let's call it an ordinary sentence that I'm sure you have used more than once. Ilaria wants to go away or wants to leave. Next sentence. Sei contento che io sia venuta? Are you happy that I have arrived, I have come? So sei contento, are you happy that I have come? However, sei contenta di essere venuta? Are you happy that you have come? Exactly the same here. Exactly the same construction. Di followed by infinitive. But here in the second sentence you have vuole, which is a modal verb. So you have a slightly different construction. You have modal verb followed by infinitive. These other two sentences, no modal verb, so you have di and the infinitive. And we have the same subject here. Are you happy that you have come? So this is when the subject is the same. We do not use subjunctive. Let's see other cases when you would like to use it, but you cannot. You should not. Espressioni impersonali, impersonal expressions, because we learned in the previous video after impersonal questions, no, expressions, sorry, we use subjunctive. Let's see. Bisogna che tu faccia presto. It is necessary that you hurry up. So we have bisogna, which is the impersonal expression followed by a specific subject. However, if you say bisogna fare presto, it is necessary to hurry in general. We don't have a specific person. In the case, we use the infinitive and there is no subject really. Another example with this, è meglio che io parta subito. It is better, literally, that I leave immediately. It is better for me to leave immediately. So here we have impersonal expression, è meglio, it is better. And we have a subject, it is better for me to leave immediately. Instead, in the other option, let's call it, so in fact it's a different sentence, we have è meglio partire subito. It is better to leave immediately. So this does not have a specific person that needs to leave immediately. It's more general. It is more impersonal, in fact. It is better to leave immediately, all of us. And then yesterday we also saw quite a few expressions that are that we use when we are talking about our personal opinion. So in general, you can think, okay, my personal opinion or feelings, etc., will be followed by subjunctive. Except if you think, oh, come on. Although, on one hand, you think, oh, but can you just make your mind up? On the other hand, instead, you can think, you know what? Especially when you're when at the very beginning you're not very confident, and you think, oh no, I don't think I'm up to using subjunctive yet, or maybe you don't remember the conjugation of a certain verb. Who knows? Whichever reason, you can think, oh, I know what I can do. I'm going to use those other expressions that do not need subjunctive. See, very good advice I can give you. So let's see these expressions that, despite the fact that I used for expressing personal opinion or doubt, in fact, we have doubt here, they do not require a subjunctive afterwards. So secondo me is according to me, and you think, what more than this is a personal opinion? This is according to me. Anyway, secondo me does not need a subjunctive. I think it's good news. I said, if one day you really cannot be bothered, or whichever the reason. And then we have some other expressions that are a bit like doubts, basically. They express doubts like forse, perhaps, probabilmente, probably. However, even if they do express doubts, we do not use subjunctive afterwards. Forse lui non vuole stare con noi. Perhaps or maybe he doesn't want to stay with us. And in fact, I'm sure you have used forse many times. So forse means perhaps or maybe. Probabilmente non è a casa in questo momento. Probably he or she is not at home at this time. Again, they do express doubt. So we're not sure. However, despite all the very long lists that we saw in the previous video, these ones do not need subjunctive. And then some conjunctions that we saw in the previous video, quite a few. We have others which look similar. However, they do not need subjunctive. There is no, who made this up? I don't know. But that's how it is. So one is anche se. Anche se is even if, although. It does mean although, like those ones that we saw earlier, or you can translate it with even if. However, as I said, it doesn't need subjunctive. I think it's good because it gives you a little bit of a breather. So, l'Inter ha vinto anche se non ha giocato bene. Inter, which is, some of you, I'm sure you know, it's a football team, won even if they didn't play well. So, anche se is even if, or although. We have poiché non mi sono divertito poiché ero stanco morto. I didn't have fun because I was literally dead tired. I was really tired. Poiché is not a perché, it's not because, but it's as, since. Very similar again to those expressions that we saw previously. And then we have dopo che. After. So l'ho chiamata dopo che avevo parlato con te. I called her after that, literally, I had spoken with you. This dopo che, especially because prima che, after prima che we need subjunctive, but after dopo che we don't. Right, so this is when not to use a subjunctive. Right. I hope, I said I've had a little bit more time to go through sentences and examples, and I hope it was helpful and clear. If it is not, or if you want, a follow-up, if you want more examples, as I said, if you have questions of any kind, in particular about subjunctive, but not only. If you have a topic that you like to request, please leave it in the comment and I will definitely cover it. In fact, this was a request from a regular follower or subscriber. Thank you very much. And right, so please subscribe, like, share the videos, leave comments. And I'll remind you here that I do private tuition. So if you are interested, please let me know and we can arrange a time. And I hope you are enjoying these sessions. I hope you're finding them useful. And I will see you on, well, next one, which will be still Congiuntivo. So there will be part 3. So this is part 2. Seconda parte, there will be la terza parte. It doesn't end here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, ciao.